All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to go inside one of the most exclusive institutions in American college life. And we're armed with what's being called a brutally honest internal report.
So, what's it really like inside one of these elite Ivy League fraternities? I mean, we've all seen the movies, we've read the headlines, right? We think we have an idea. But what's the actual reality behind those historic stone walls and those big Greek letters? Yeah, we're going to be breaking down a brutally honest evaluation of Delta Phi Pi at Cornell University. And get this thing scores everything. We're talking the power of their alumni network, the reality of the social scene, the whole shebang. So if you've ever been genuinely curious about what really goes on inside a top-tier frat, well, let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's set the stage here. This isn't just any fraternity. We're talking about the Pi chapter of Delta Phi, a seriously historic house at Cornell. And, Cornell is an Ivy League school where Greek life is a massive, massive part of the social landscape.
I mean, look at this timeline. This chapter has been around for over 130 years. That is a huge legacy. It stretches all the way from the 19th century to today. That kind of history really embeds it deep into the fabric of Cornell's whole, super competitive social world. And this right here, this really gets to the heart of their whole identity. They're not some, reclusive, stuffy old gentleman's club, but they're also not the stereotypical party every single night frat either. They found this really interesting middle ground. They're trying to balance this reputation for being, refined with just enough social punch to stay relevant on a campus that is incredibly competitive. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, if not the biggest, selling points of any elite fraternity, the alumni network. And at Pi, it's way more than just a list of old members you can look up. The report actually calls it a career accelerant.
And you can totally see why it's so powerful. I mean, the network is just packed with alumni in these hyper-competitive fields. We're talking finance, consulting, corporate law, medicine, even tech startups. The big takeaway here isn't just about how many alumni there are, but the quality and influence of that network.
So the report actually puts a number on it. They give the alumni network a 69 out of 100. That's a really solid score. It's not perfect, but what it reflects is a network that's genuinely helpful and, maybe more importantly, accessible. It's not just a list of names you'd be too intimidated to ever contact. So yeah, the bottom line here is pretty clear. If you remember aiming for one of those elite careers, this network isn't just some nice perk. The report calls it a real accelerant. I love that phrase. It's something that can tangibly, shorten your path to success right after you graduate.
Okay, now for the part everybody always asks about, the social life. What are the parties like? Well, at Pi, the vibe is different. Let's just say it's less about chaos and more about, curation.
The report really paints this picture of substance over spectacle. Their events are well run, the formals are classy, and their mixers are pretty targeted. The goal isn't just to throw a massive, wild party, it's about building genuine connections. And the numbers really tell the story here. For what the report calls a stereotypical frat lifestyle, Pi scores just a 45 out of 100. So yeah, if you're looking for that Animal House experience, this is definitely not the place. But here's the twist. The report also gives a score for what it calls the chance of scoring, and that actually gets a slightly higher 51. So what does that contrast tell us? Well, it suggests that even though Pi isn't a crazy party house, the prestige and the environment do create social opportunities. The difference is that those opportunities are built more on connection, not just on chaos. Okay. This next section. This dives into probably the most unique and honestly fascinating metric in this entire report. It's a very, very specific way of measuring the closeness of the Brotherhood itself. So the report uses this very specific and maybe surprising term to measure this, the homoerotic level. Now, let's be absolutely crystal clear about what the source means here. This has nothing to do with sexuality. It's a metric for platonic closeness. It's really gauging the level of physical and emotional comfort between brothers. Basically, it's measuring the absence of awkwardness. So to understand where Pi lands, let's just look at the scale real quick. A level 1 is basically like being polite, business casual roommates. Level 4 is what they call a bromance tier, hitting the gym together, real emotional support. And then there's level 5, and this is where it gets interesting. It's defined by this casual physical ease. Things like being totally comfortable post-shower or just crashing in each other's rooms. So the big question, where does Delta Phi Pi fall on this scale? Well, the report places them squarely at a level 5. And what does level 5 actually look like day to day? It means things like post-shower chats while you're still in a towel, or crashing in a brother's room without a second thought. But what's crucial here, and the report really notes this, is that this isn't performative. It's not for shock value. It's a sign of genuine, organic comfort that comes from a really respectful, low-judgment environment. It's an authentic bond. So, we've looked at the legacy, the alumni, the social scene, and this really unique take on brotherhood. What's the final verdict? Let's get to the final report card. The final overall score from the evaluation, it comes in at a 58 out of 100. Now, that's not a failing grade, but it's not exactly an A+ either. It's a score that perfectly reflects everything we've just talked about. This is a fraternity that absolutely excels in certain areas and deliberately chooses not to compete in others. So here's the breakdown. The pros, they're pretty significant, right? You've got that Ivy League prestige, that powerful alumni network, a balanced social culture, and those really deep brotherhood bonds. On the flip side, the cons, well, it definitely gets overshadowed by the louder party houses. Its selectivity can be intimidating, and that great alumni network, it's pretty niche, focused on very specific fields. And honestly, this one quote from the report's conclusion just says it all perfectly. This is a fraternity for the ambitious Ivy student who wants a fraternity to complement, not overshadow his Cornell experience. It's for someone who wants Greek life to be part of their experience, not the entire thing. Which kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. When we look at this model, more refined, career-focused, emotionally connected, are we getting a glimpse into the future of fraternities? Could this be a broader shift away from just the party scene and towards something with a little more polish? It's definitely something to think about.